Hey, how's it going out there today, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great day. I am in Fort Worth, Texas right now. It is Thursday, June 20th. It's about noon. I got emptied out last night at about midnight was my appointment. I was emptied about 3 here in Fort Worth. Yeah, I brought this load down from North Dakota. So a little bit about this load. I miscalculated the deadhead on this load, so it brought my revenue down for it a little bit. Overall, still not a bad run. Probably would have still did it, all things considered now. The only issue I had is when I got emptied out before, I was about 90 miles south of my house, and this load, the broker had listed it in Fargo, North Dakota, and it was actually in Grand Fork, North Dakota. They let me know it as soon as I called. I mean, they wasn't trying no shady stuff. As soon as I called them, they said, hey, just so you know, the load's in Grand Fork. We're changing it right now, but just so you know. So I was like, and in my head, I was thinking like, okay, so Grand Fork probably adds like another 60 miles to it. But I was thinking from my house, not from where I was at. So I was like, okay, it's probably like 200 miles from my house to Fargo. And then, I was thinking, okay, well, it's in Grand Forks, so that adds about another 80 miles. So I'm like, 280 deadhead. Okay, let's talk. Not a deal breaker. But then I figured it up, and I had to start heading out on the load, and I was like, man, my GPS is saying like, it's gonna like be a long time before I get there. And so. Yeah, it was going to be about an extra hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, because I was like 120 miles away. So from where I had planned it. So yeah, didn't think it through. I had got unloaded at about 4 o'clock in the morning the day, so I had got up at about 2 in the morning that day. So I guess my brain wasn't working like it should, maybe. But anyway. I got there on time to pick the load up. I mean, I pulled in, like I drifted into the parking lot on, on one side of the wheels on the truck, like it was barely got it there. I just barely made it. But anyway, got loaded up. It was a frozen food load, -10 degrees. It was a load of, frozen foods. At the place I picked it up at had a bunch of construction going on, so I'm actually kind of glad I showed up right at the appointment time, because there were trucks lying down the street that were there 3 or 4 hours early. And as most frozen food production places go, they don't particularly like you showing up too early, because they run production pretty much right out at the time they make it at a lot of places. So yeah, so I got to go in front of all those because it was actually my appointment time. But it all worked out. The load itself was not a terrible load. It weighed I'd just say 44,000 pounds, because it actually weighed like 43.8, but I mean it was up there. When I had full tank of fuel on the truck, and DEF and Reefer, and I was about 200 pounds overweight. So it was a full load. It was heavy. They actually took it off the pallets. I'm just slip sheeted it onto the floor. Because it was tall. It went all the way up to the chute, and but yeah, they got it loaded up. It wasn't too bad. Like I say, 200 pounds over. I can do that because I have an APU. I'm allowed 400 pounds over. So, I put the trailer right at the max it could go at. I think I had it, it was like 33,860 pounds or something like that. So, I maxed it out, that way I would burn off the fuel in my drives and it was all on the drives. The steers were still legal, but so the weight would come down off the drives as I went. So that took care of the weight issue. The load itself Paid $2,800 to the carrier, $2,240 to me, and it was 1,180 miles. The route I took was 1,180 loaded. It was 400 deadhead. There was a route, and the way the broker had calculated it, there was a shorter route. It brought it down closer to 1,100. It took about 60 miles off of it. But that route had about 200 miles of non-freeway in it. So I drove the extra 60 miles to run the freeway. Because when you're loaded heavy like that, you don't want to go through every little town and hit every little stoplight. And it kind of balances out when it gets to that level. Because, yeah, you're going to run more miles, but you're going to get better fuel mileage. So it's kind of like, yeah, if I got the hours, I'd rather just keep it on the freeway. It's not as hard on the truck, you know, starting and stopping that weight all the time. But the loaded miles on it was $250 a mile for loaded only. That's what the rate was. So after all that deadhead that I didn't calculate properly before I took the load, it made it $1.77 to the carrier, $1.41 a mile to the truck. Not a great paying load for that heavy. Like I said, I maybe would have still taken it because I kind of got myself in a little bit of a crunch Monday. I turned down a good paying ice cream load that I should have took to Virginia. It was a 3-stop, paying pretty good money for about the same amount of miles. But I didn't take it. I said, I don't want to go to Virginia because I'm going on vacation next week and I need to get somewhere where I can get out and get back. So I chose the load down to Fort Worth, you know, because I know Dallas and Fort Worth's not going to pay that great, but chances of getting something out of here back to Minnesota are highly likely. So, and I've already got that booked and set up. I'm fixing to go pick that up right now. So yeah, I turned down the ice cream load, and then I had another load to Florida that I called on, and I didn't really want to go to Florida, but I thought, hey, it's still paying pretty good to go to Florida. And, you know, I've been doing okay getting out of that area back to Minnesota here lately with the watermelons and produce coming in, or it's still available down there. So I called on that one, and they had it set up for, it was like a little over $2 a mile. It wasn't paying that great, but it wasn't a very heavy load either. It was going to Jacksonville, and I think it weighed like 10 or 12,000 pounds. It was a pretty light load. That's the only reason I jumped on it at that rate. So I called on it. They had it set up for 3,100. I asked the guy, I said, hey, can we do 3,200? You know, that's not a big jump. That's not asking a whole lot. That got me, you know, a little bit above the $2 range. And he said, well, hang on a second. You guys put me on hold for a minute. He comes back. He says, we've already booked it at 3,100. Don't worry about it. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to worry about it. So then I had another load to Florida that was, it was a little under $2 a mile. And I'm like, I'm really not trying to go to Florida. I mean, it was a light load as well. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm not really trying to go to Florida for less than $2 a mile because all the deadhead coming out. Because I know if I do grab a watermelon load, it's probably going to be 200 to 300 mile deadhead. If I call that broker that I've been using to get the watermelons, probably, you know, from Jacksonville, I'm probably looking at 200 to 300 miles deadhead to get to one of their farms. And that was a little more than I really wanted to do, to be honest with you. So I said, you know what? No, I'm just gonna wait it out. You know, if I have to wait a day, I have to wait a day. And then I got to thinking, well, if I wait a day, it's already, you know, Monday, and I'm going on vacation next Monday. I'm like, I'm going to really get myself in a short load position and not make hardly anything for the week. So when this load popped up, I took it. I probably wouldn't have took it on a normal day if I didn't have to get down and get back, you know. So I wanted to make enough money to, like, you know, finish out the month, because I'm taking off the last week. I wanted to finish out the month with, you know, a decent revenue week right here. I mean, I pretty much got everything paid for in the first 2 weeks of the month. I had a pretty good first 2 weeks. So this is more or less, this run down and back is like, this is like, you know, like just vacation money basically. I mean, everything else is paid and done for the week. So once I once I take my like maintenance fund and everything out of these checks, the down and back, pretty much the rest is, I'll spend it on the kids on vacation. So yeah, here's the numbers on the load, guys. It actually, I got me a new fuel discount on my fuel card. I get 19 cents off at Love's now. I was getting like 9 cents, so they bumped it up to 19 cents now. So it's a pretty nice little discount I'm getting. I got fuel in Fargo, North Dakota. Discounted price was it was $2.54, I think, a gallon in Fargo, North Dakota. So that's not bad. You take fuel tax out of that, and you're in I think fuel tax in Fargo or in North Dakota is 24 cents. I'm thinking that's what it is. So we're down to like $2.30 a gallon minus tax. Just diesel was $2.30, so it's pretty good. Running down, I used about 3/4 of that tank. So that little discounts, the little extras helping. So I spent $4.34 on truck fuel. I spent $7.3 on reefer fuel. 73 on reefer fuel. 16 on DEF. I paid $8 in tolls there in Kansas to drop down from Wichita to the state line there on 135. Variable cost on this load, $531. So you minus that off the $22.40 that was to the truck, left me $17.09. And not a horrible load, not that great. I'd much rather be pulling freight that paid better and it wasn't 44,000 pounds. But I picked it up Monday afternoon. So you can say with all that deadhead and everything, let's count Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday. And then it came off last night at midnight. It was Thursday. They had it scheduled for Thursday at 12:01 a.m. So I wouldn't count Thursday. So it was more or less Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday run. Like I said, not great, not horrible. Still made money on it. But yeah, that is what it is. So I got another load booked back to Minnesota. I just grabbed. I got to go pick it up here in a minute. And it's on the other side. I'm in Fort Worth. It's on the other side of Dallas. I got to run over there real quick. It's about 50 miles away on that pickup, going straight back to Minnesota. Not the greatest paying load, but, when you have to be somewhere, sometimes you take freight that doesn't pay the greatest. And that's kind of the situation I'm in. But yeah, guys, take care of each other. Everybody have a good day. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, everybody. Bye.